Well, welcome to our Bible session. We've been looking at the history of Israel because remember, Israel it's like a blueprint, or it's like the red flag that when something happens in Israel, it could reflect on us, and it's important for us to look at it. But I start out by asking you to continue praying for our group, praying for our world, and the days past our 250 anniversary, we need to be thankful for all the things that God give us. And that's important for us to remember all of those things that we should be thankful for. But continue praying for those that need it, and continue praying for our world, our churches, and the things around us that need it. So we left off here the history of Israel. Now, the history of Israel spans thousands of years from ancient time to the present. Israel is a country that has a rich cultural and historical heritage where the roads of just so many various different civilizations intersect. Ancient Israel, we see the history of Israel begins in biblical times. Now, according to the Bible, the Jews, which were led by Moses, left Egypt and reached the Promised Land. This was around the 13th century BC. The Jews established their kingdom known as Israel. That's the Israel we know today. Now, we know that there was important figures of that time, and these important figures was people like King Saul, King David, and King Solomon, which was the son of David. The kingdom of Israel reached its peak under Solomon, who had built the first true temple in Jerusalem. David wanted to do that, and God wouldn't let him because, remember, he sinned with Bathsheba, and God decided he would let Solomon do that. Now we see the division and the Babylonian captivity. After Solomon's death, the kingdom split into two, which we know, and we've read a lot of history about it, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. The northern kingdom was conquered by the Assyrians in 722 BC, while the southern kingdom was conquered by the Babylonians in 586 BC. And as a result of that, the Jews were sent into exile, and the first temple was destroyed. Then we see the Persian and Roman period. In the 6th century BC, after the conquest of Babylon by the Persian, the Jews were given the opportunity to return to their homeland and rebuild the temple. But with the arrival of Rome in the 1st century BC, Jewish independence was once again lost. In 70 BC, Rome destroyed the second temple, and the Jews began their being dispersed, spread, if you will, spreading throughout the world, scattered all over, almost to a point where nobody really knew where they were at, if there was any left or whatever. And then we see the Middle Ages. Throughout the Middle Ages, Jews faced persecution and anti-Semitism, I'll get it out. In other words, anti-Jewish people that believe that, Israel should be destroyed totally. And the Jews, they just despised. That's basically what it's getting at here. Now, in various countries such as Spain and Eastern Europe, Jews suffered from expulsion and just done wrong. Each generation has its heroes, just along with their martyrs, and the Jewish people are no exception to that. There was a Zionist movement in the late 19th century. The Zionist movement began aiming at establishing a Jewish state in Palestine. Now, one of the founders of this, who convened the first Zionist Congress in 1897 to accomplish this thing, the creation of the State of Israel after World War I and II, as well as the Holocaust, the International Committee supported a creation of the Jewish state. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was proclaimed, and immediately the first Arab-Israelite war began. Israel was able to defeat its independence and expand its territories. And as a result of the war, millions of Palestinians became refugees. Now, when we think about Israel, we think about modern day Israel. Since then, and us talking about these things back then, the wars and them trying to get a state started independent, since then Israel has become this important player in the Middle East. We've seen it today. They're very important to what takes place over there. The country of Israel has gone through so many, just numerous conflicts, also peace agreements that won't stand, collapse for whatever reason, which included the wars in 1967 and 1973, as well as agreements with Egypt and Jordan. Today, Israel is a developed country with a strong economy and advanced technologies, one to the point that the world is jealous. You know, for a long time, Russia had the natural gas. They were the number one. Now, all of a sudden, Israel is. There's things taking place at Israel. God is blessing them. And that's why it's important for you and I to keep our eye on them. Nevertheless, we think about the conflicts with the Palestinians continue, and the situation in the region remains very complex. So as I start bringing this to a close today, we'll continue on in their history because there's a lot to know about them. We know the history of Israel is a story of struggle, a story of survival, independence, and self-determination. You see, it is a country with this unique heritage and rich culture, and its future remains at the center of global events. And that's why it is important for you and I to pay close attention to them, because see, their future, we're not talking about today or back then, we're talking about days to come, that their future remains the center. And it says not just their center or a few countries center, it says a global event, which is important for us to pay attention, because as God moves his plan forward, we're going to see Israel more and more in the future, and we need to pay attention. God bless, and I'll see you next time.